Hello everyone, my name is Prachi Aggarwal and I am the legal intern at LEXIS and Company. In this video, we will be talking about an overview of land reform. What is land reform? The introduction part, the pre and the post independence era during the land reforms, and what the objectives of land reform, the kinds of land reform, and etc. and etc. So let's begin. What is land reform? The land reform in India under the British Raj had witnessed a lot of advocacy regulations that exploited the poor and helpless in many aspects. Among them, land ownership contributed significantly to prevent the socio-economic growth of the backward population. The government of independent India came up with the act and laws to establish the equal rights and ownerships of the land, which now constitute a crucial part of the India's economy. In this video, you will come across a detailed discourse on the land reform in India after independence and its importance. Now, why the land reform was introduced in India? Almost all agricultural land in India before independence were owned by the intermediaries like the zamindars among others, and the farmers were not the owner of the land on which they produced their crops. These farmers naturally suffered from the exploitation when the landowner had paid no heed in agricultural requirement and were solely concerned about the rents they collected from these laborers. After independence in 1947, an inadequacy agricultural output was apparent. In order to fix this situation, the Indian government took the measures to alter the existing regulations for a better output. These some formed agrarian reforms in India after independence. Now, the objectives of land reforms. Some of the objectives of land reforms were: an Indian government aimed at spreading up the socio-economic advancement of the rural India and its agriculture industry with this land reform system. Some important objectives behind their implementation have been said, like the primary objectives concerned an overview renewal of the law structure for the agricultural lands in India. These acts aimed at an equal and uniform distribution of agricultural land so that the concentration of the ownership was not in the few hands. Then, the abolishment of intermediaries of the medieval land ownership systems in India, facilitating the optimum agriculture produce with healthy and economic practices, ensuring the economic and social justice for the previous violation of the rights. Now, the uniform ownership of the land would prevent exploitation of tenants, farmers, and will help in reducing the rural poverty. Now, we will talk about the different types of land reform in the post-independent India. Firstly, the abolishment of the intermediaries. This was the first step taken by the Indian government under the land reform post-independence by passing a Zamindari Abolishing Act. The primary reason for this is that the backward agrarian economy was the presence of the intermediary entitlement like zamindar, who primarily focus on collecting the skyrocketing rents, catering to their personal benefits without paying any attention to the disposition of the farms and the farmers. Abolition of the such intermediaries is not only improved conditions of the farmers by establishing their direct connection with the government, but also improve the agricultural production. Then, the regulation of the rents. This was in direct response to the unambiguously high rents which were charged by the intermediaries during the British rule, which resulted in a never-ending cycle of the poverty and misery for tenants. Indian government implemented these regulations to protect the farmers and the laborers from the exploitation by placing a maximum limit on the rent that could be charged for the land. Now, the tenant security. Legislation were passed in different states of the country to grant the tenant with the permanent ownership and the protection from the unlawful conviction on the expiry of the lease. This law protects the tenant from having the vacant property immediately after their tenure is over unless ordered by the law. Now we'll talk about the land ceiling. Land ceiling, this is the law which was enacted to prevent the concentration of the land ownership in a few hands. It is a placed an optimum limit on the total measures of the land which an individual or the family of the individual can hold. Now, consolidation of the land holdings. A major problem of the agrarian structure of India is the land fragmentation, which hinder the large scale farming production. This problem was solved with the regulation which permit farmer to consolidate the minor fragments of the land owned by them into a singular piece of land. This enabled the tenants to carry out the agricultural operation in the large field, which could be done by exchanging the land or purchasing the additional piece. So this is all for today. Thank you. Hope you like this video. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you.